I should not be, to use the good old generic college study, I should not be as directionally challenged. Well, don't want to get lost too deep in Anacostia, right? You know, we just want to stay in the nice parts. Looks at big vacant lots and houses. Again, me and my classism. Now on dating, it is actually funny. Again, back to the mimetic point, it's the same way that French is perceived as a very romantic language, despite, I think, half of the English language being French. I didn't really see. Maybe it is just the maybe it is just the lack of charm of a Southern drawl or Mid-Atlantic or whatever bastardized dialect I have. But so I would argue that French being perceived as a very romantic language is a bit overrated. But back on the mimetic point, if you think about, like, a girl says, I'm dating a French guy. What pops into your head? Okay, probably you can imagine. Like that is something that is presumably you can view as a bit desirable, right? Or interesting, or something that you would want, right? Like your friend says that, and in your cabeza, you're thinking. I say cabeza because I'm forgetting the word for brain. But manzana, huevos. I can use huevos as a proxy. And usted, and el huevo de usted. Tú piensas sobre el hermano de France. Y usted puede date el hombre de France. Pero yo hablo usted date un hombre Antarctica, and you don't get the same reaction, right? Or I guess, yeah, it's very politically savvy, David. Don't say an actual country that doesn't have dating appeal. Quite a politician am I. But you thought of some country popped into, or some nationality popped into your head of you wouldn't be excited, or you wouldn't be as proud of dating some kind of country, right? Now, I think that's probably more applicable for girls than guys, right? There's probably a difference between dating a French guy or Italian guy or Australian guy. Whereas for guys, dating a girl from XYZ, it's probably a bit more mundane. A bit more immaterial, right? But it's funny. It is a fun, again, the fine line between objectification and intellectual musings. I will have some time to kill. Okay, I'm not going to lose my train of thought. I will not lose my train of thought. Okay. I actually have a genius plan. My one vice in life are, again, bouncing around so bad. I do come off as frazzled probably. It is just because I truly am just walking around. This is all for my own amusement. I just try to speak for extended sessions to practice. Not doing or stutters. So this is my this is my speech therapy / regular therapy complaint sessions about my predilections, and which just showed the simple life I live, where my predilections are effectively my lack of success dating and my lack of success with my PA. It is a beautiful life I exist in, and honestly it is kind of nice. I hope if life works out in an okay outcome, I should just have this should all just be nostalgic. Man, can you imagine back when you were just complaining about Caesars, and you knew that Las Vegas volumes were down, but Caesars is super levered, and it has big maturities coming up in 2 years, and that operating cash flow isn't really gonna cover that, but you were still buying the equity because you just want implicit leverage. But leverage on its own is kind of meaningless because it's leverage, you dumbass. And in the positive universe, where on a Saturday morning I'm not walking around Anacostia, but I've got my arm around again, very, very cringe, I admit it, but let a guy paint a picture for you. Wake up on Saturday morning, arm around your girl, making a tofu egg omelet with some Chinese sausage. Oh man, a man can dream. Of course, one of those things I can do. The other thing is incredibly difficult to imagine. Again, it's been a decade, bro. But that'd be so funny, man. Remember when you were buying Chipotle and Pinterest? Chipotle because it's a QSR brand which has scale, and so it can't permanently be in a rut. And Pinterest is actually an AI winner because its MAUs keep going up, and if there's more AI content, then that just means there's more content to be distributed, and therefore the distribution point, which is Pinterest, wins. Or Caesars. I can't really have one for these Caesars, but man, that'd be nostalgic, man. The same way I have some big nostalgia for Tencent after, took 5 years for my original Tencent purchases to be positive, but we got there. I did kind of manage it. Right, because for a transient period of time, China did actually trade at a premium, or at least a comparable multiple to the US. Back in late 2020, right, when China was effectively winning in COVID, right? With the borders and all of that. So, man, life could be so different and so much better. So differently. Alas. Big fat alas. Here we are. Yeah, so what do I fantasize about? What do I dream about? Unfortunately, I do tend to dream about work stuff, which I find super annoying. Because I do like my job, but it's my job, so I'm conscious about my job, And so my dreams should be my subconscious. So my subconscious should be thinking about what I don't think about on a daily basis, because I don't experience those things on a daily basis. So my subconscious should be me with some, should be me on a date, or me with some like fun stuff. You know, it's a dream. I could do whatever I want conceptually, but no, my subconscious literally dreams about a work trip and the meeting and Luckin Coffee or some random SaaS company. Dog, my existence is pathetic, meaningless, and I am simply a cog in a machine of GDP. But I'm failing my purpose because I won't contribute to MBS demand. So if anything, I'm a waste of space. The universe does taunt me, and sometimes the universe does taunt me sometimes, and sometimes the universe does win. I think the universe is winning after that one. Gosh, it's not as if I dream every night, but to dream about, oh my gosh, there's so many better things to dream about, man. So many better things. Gosh. Oh. Come on, please, and please, subconscious, Andrew Rice, please, subconscious. I beg of you, subconscious, please. Or Emma Brooke McAllister. Now, I will say, there is, of course, the very charming joke of fell to my knees. I will say, Emma Brooke, so it's funny because I started using TikTok in 2020. And so I came across her account when she was only at like 200K followers. And now she's over 1 million. And now she's effectively, or she is a model for big brands. And so I think the same way that people get big, but they don't manage to parlay that success, which makes it more impressive when somebody does successfully parlay their success. As she clearly did, which is cool. Anyways, now you might be asking, so David, how come you followed her way back in 2020? And how come you still kind of know the story? The male gaze, of which I contribute. Yeah. So, yeah. So she is. Yeah, very attractive. That sounds so sterile. It sounds so sterile, but yeah, very. Very attractive. And so she had a recent post. So if you, the audience, you want to see her Instagram, or future reference for myself. Although I've saved the post, so presumably, or the post at least has certainly left. It's what I think about in the lunch line to keep me going. But it's like we need to figure out what is the optimal route to get back. This is the way. Yeah, pretty much. I can run deeper into Virginia, get me some lifesavers, and then hop back. Got to go for my ice cream, my sundae. But anyway, so her Instagram handle is Emma Brooks. And in her most recent, it's a bit annoying how Instagram doesn't let you separate photos versus reels. Very annoying. But her most recent photo picture. Who watches these videos? These videos are for me. It's for my. Yeah. if I show you guys my map, I can show you my camera. Right? I can show you my. If I show you my Google Maps on my phone, I can also show you. Oh well, can't say. I just need to find a good spot. Can't say I don't show the audience what Okay. You know, again, who's the audience? The audience is me. Future me would find it amusing. I have time to kill anyway. Right, because it took an hour to get... Ooh. See my face plenty of times in these videos, right? Here is not as good as it could be. Oh, that'd be great. But the... Oh gosh, this is a bad look, but yeah. Well, I've kind of been too far, so why not? But this is the photo stuff. But yeah, it's like, you know, again, it's cool that someone managed to parlay success. And but the funny part is back to the. Again, so now you can, you know, if you pause the video and the and you hit the period button, you can go frame by frame. So, me only spending so many minutes on a segment probably makes it more suspicious than it is. My bad. My bad, I admit that. Oh, fine. You know, I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help an entrepreneur out. You know, help someone broaden their reach. But I will say, in terms of, think about it, in terms of like photo composition, like that is empirically nice shot. Empirically nice shot. So kudos to whoever the camera. yes. Who do I follow? Yeah. I don't know. But if I was a true, I do suppose if I was truly altruistic, I would I would link to her account. So if I do or don't, that's probably a real sign of type of yeah. But I'm not sure I've said on video before, but there is an idea, right? Like smart girls want to be appreciated for their looks, and cute girls want to be appreciated for their intelligence. And it's the perfect inversion where every group wants what they presumably aren't as appreciated for. And again, right, it's very easy to perceive the smart girl who's trying to be appreciated for her looks, because you can see an Instagram or whatnot, right? Because you can see an Instagram, which makes it very easy. But it's much harder to see the inverse, right? The inverse of a. So I guess either way, attractiveness is kind of table stakes, right? It's very easy to appreciate, but it's much harder to appreciate intelligence. Certainly not if you don't have any of like the superficial like credentials that would signal intelligence. Crap. Okay, this will work out. again, don't want to get lost in the sauce in Anacostia. So anyways, so it's much harder to see people try to be valued for their intelligence. But there are some ways. And one of the bigger ways is Goodreads. Because reading books is generally, a sign of intelligence or intellectualism. And so I kind of argue with, and I admit, I do have a Goodreads myself, which is floating around the ether somewhere. So, anyways, yeah, I don't know. Come on, subconscious, please. Emma Brooks, not random fund manager. XYZ. However, my subconscious despises me. So that's how it goes, unfortunately. Oh, subconscious, please. I beseech you. Allow me. Oh my gosh, was it worst dreams, man. It is funny when you're in a dream. I guess a dream, so you shouldn't have limitations. But even in the dream, you have a limitation that you face in real life. It's miserable, bro. What can you do? You must stiff upper lip, carry on, lose 20 pounds to lose some baby fat. Watch a video on hairstyling. Spend a day, ask out 50 girls. If that doesn't work, next weekend, do 100. Have 100. If that doesn't work, 150. Plus all the regular dating stuff app. Statistical significance probably kicks in at some point, right, guys? Yeah, at least at that point, you can't say you didn't try. So, a lot of cops out here. Is Anacostia in DC? I know the Virginia stuff isn't in the district because of whatever. Legacy. Whatever historical legacy stuff is out there. So, I think I suspect this is part of, this has to be DC if Metro Police is out here. Yeah, I too would hang out in Anacostia if I was a cop on the beat on a Saturday. Look at this nice little pocket of development right here. Well, I've said too much today. I've shown too much. That would be so good. That would be so good. If I had zero shame and I just had a video where I just went down my Instagram saved post list and just that video would, frankly, it probably do pretty well if I'm being honest. And that type of content, it would do numbers, as they say. Probably. Because it'd be very lowest common denominator stuff. which there is no shame about. Nor should there. Well, there should be. Cool, I did feel some hesitance, but any other Instagram girls that make me symbolically fall to my knees? Just want to count Claire is me. She's a Chinese international student who goes to NYU. Man. Instagram is truly the best of us and the worst of us. And all I can say. Like genuinely. Again, to a previous idea that I've articulated. That you see a cute girl and it just makes you feel sad. Yeah. That's what actually yeah, the video is going through my save list. It would not bring me joy. It would bring me tremendous melancholy. Yeah, that is actually a great mindset. You see a cute girl whose post you want to save, but all you're doing is just perpetuating your own melancholy. Like, you're trying to be sleazy and objectify women, but in fact, you've actually just reminded yourself of what a loser you are. Oh, this is where the subconscious. This is where the subconscious gets its meat and bones from. This is where it knows. This is why my subconscious is justified in its attitude towards me. I must admit, I cannot lie. Well, if you're a girl watching this, what is it? Yeah, I'm not sure what the female. Well, again, right? It's like that OK Cupid study. Like another cop. Fascinating. It's like the OK Cupid study. The average, right? It's like the distribution of male attractiveness is very skewed, where most guys just are not that attractive. Whereas when it comes for guys evaluating the women, there is more of a normal distribution. Frankly, I can't disagree with that. Like, I certainly would peg myself on the lower end of the distribution, and I think that's very fair. I think also, like, again, setting aside being a heterosexual guy, but the average dude is lumpy, man. Like, I appreciate, like, if you are like a chiseled specimen, yeah, that's hard to achieve. And should be valued as such. But I do appreciate that the average guy is not that. And otherwise, like, just is not bringing a lot to the table in that sense. So I can't complain about that. You know, again, self-loathing aside, it's just being empirically subjective about the matter. Toss in balding, and man, you've got a nasty formula, man. Very tough to bounce back from that. Well, unfortunately, I've now made myself melancholic after seeing those photos. So, and now I can only be pensive the rest of Oh, using dating apps are kind of the same thing. Oh, that's nice. At least on a dating app, assuming the girl is not paywalled in this literal digital segregation of attractiveness, which, if you think about it, is kind of how society is structured anyway, right? If attractive, like, because conceptually, attractiveness, it's an observable quality, and therefore you can select for and against it, and so effectively, and if it's desirable, then it kind of gravitates towards people who have more status or people who have more capital. If that's another cop, I'm gonna have a nice chuckle. So the point is effectively that attractiveness skews towards certain things, right? Like the girl at a fancy hotel lobby is probably going to be more attractive than the girl at the Dollar Tree checkout, right? Not because of any innate ability or ability due to customer service. Although there probably is a big difference in customer service, but because like the pressure is on it, right? Like if you, like it's not a I just suppose attractiveness is an evolutionary pressure, which is not a great observation on my part. Certainly something I need to be worried about. But the hotel, right? Like the ARPU, the revenue per customer at the hotel, is much higher than the revenue at the literal dollar revenue at the damn Dollar Tree. So therefore, it makes sense to spend more. And if attractiveness is A, finite, and B, desirable, and it's a supply-demand hijink, then it makes sense for more attractive people to have more demand, given not everybody's attractive. Case in point, Flip's camera, or as attractive. Again, some self-esteem, right? I only have some self-loathing. I'm not. Well, I mean, yeah. What percentile would you assign yourself? It's the joke about everybody thinks they're a better driver than the average driver, but that can't be the case. What percentile attractiveness would you put yourself in? Not sure. Well, I have ideas. Let's put it that way. I do have ideas. And you can't fault a man for that, eh?
Wait.
No, you cannot. Well, I'm sure you could, but never here nor there. So yeah, and again, so I might not describe the logic in the best way, but intuitively, that is the logic. So, again, coming from a guy who's chops, so make of that what you will. Malcolm X. It is hilarious how Black Panthers were actually had a left-wing economic policy to them, which makes it kind of real policy and real politics, whereas nowadays it's literally identity politics, BLM. It's not the same substance or intra or more scalable politics to it. Again, the CIA has truly it's a funny world. It's a funny world. All I want to become post-economic at 10 million. Like 10 million is more than I would need, but you know, it signals some ambition. It's 10 million, and I disappear. I will spend 89 days in Almaty, Kazakhstan. I'll spend 179 days in Yunnan, China. I'll spend 46 days in Marseille. I'll spend 20 days in Juarez. You know, again, right? Not everybody can do that. Not everybody's post-economic. Post-economic, you have the rarest things. You have control over your time, true autonomy over your time. To not be a slave to email. What a joy in life that must be. And if that's the case, then you should literally fuck off into the most random spots. You should literally take the Trans-Siberian subway, Trans-Siberian Railway, because you have the autonomy that most people just do not and will not ever have. Just my 2 cents on what I would do if I was post-economic. Of course, I am not post-economic. So here we are. As a non-post-economic broke fuck. But, you know, at the very least, the things that amuse me are pretty low expenditure, so keep some of. There are some. I'm not a complete waste of space. Is the message, I suppose. At the end of the day, you know, we all have intrinsic value, don't we? We can all buy mortgages. And if that's not inspiring, then I don't know what is. Lol. Well, this has been a very fun walk in a part of Maryland, the DMV that I wouldn't dream of. Actually, not. You don't go to DMV dreaming of this, so thanks for watching.